Hello. What up, guys? So, honestly, I don't even know where to start off with this. I just know that part of me was reluctant to even wanting to sit down and to even have this conversation, but um here we are. Obviously, if you see from my background, I'm not living or sleeping in my car, at least for now. Um this where I'm at is temporary, but honestly, there's a lot of details that I can barely even speak upon right now because it's just safety concerns, and also just like I'm just going to wait to talk about more details when I'm actually in a position where I'm not dealing with this crap anymore, to say the least. But honestly, I just wanted to talk. I don't even know what to talk about, but things have honestly been all over the place. They've been they've been tumultuous, to say the least. To to say it lightly, I guess. Um, there's just been a lot of things going on. Me having to unfortunately deal with some people who didn't treat me right, who disrespected me, um, you know, overstepped boundaries, and among other things. And unfortunately, my living situation was basically like the impact of that if I had to make a decision that was better for myself, it would mean that I would have to leave that living situation where I was at, and that was temporary as well. However, it was it was something that I had thought or perceived working out a certain way, and it didn't. And I don't blame anyone, specifically for how the situation ended up, because at the end of the day, I know that a lot of things are temporary, and I know that that ended up just really being another lesson. Another lesson, babe, another lesson for me to just convince and prove to myself once again that I no longer accept spaces where I am not being appreciated, I'm not being honored, respected, and loved the way that I had, loved, respected, or honored other people, especially around me. And I just think back to everything that had happened in that situation, and I really contributed a lot. And quite honestly, like, let me tell y'all. So I literally made a video. This is gonna be a yap session, okay? So you already know the beginning of this was all over the place, but this is not a channel message. I already been doing a lot with myself when it comes to channel messages and stuff. Like I've really been trying to hold it together. Like, first of all, this Mercury retrograde, all of this stuff, the full moon is gonna be going on in freaking a day or so, and bear with me when it comes to like me talking in this video, because when there's a yap session, it's honestly anything that comes to my head. It's whatever comes out of my brain. So it can be all over the place, to say the least. But whether or not this person will view this video, I don't really give a fuck. But I am more concerned about the fact that, like, lately it's just been all over the place. A lot of things been going on. I actually recorded a video, like a yap session similar to this topic and this concept and everything that was going on when I had first came, like when I first came here to where I am at now, where I settled, I guess. And I had literally like just yapped and yapped and yapped, and that video was probably about 2 hours long. And I was just like, okay, yeah, I just know that I cannot put most of this stuff on YouTube. I had to like literally I cannot put most of this stuff on YouTube. So unfortunately, y'all will never see that video, but y'all will see this video, okay? Cuz we are processing and we're getting through things a lot better than how I used or how I did before all of this stuff. So, for sake of for my privacy and the privacy of others as well as um so I'm just not spewing things that are not accurate, you know, you could say. I just remade this video and I'm doing it here again and I'm sitting here because honestly, when it comes to Yap sessions, I kind of like forget the fact that like this is literally supposed to be the most informal, the most raw and authentic version of myself that y'all get to experience and see. Like this is the whole point of me having this series is because of the fact that in my other videos, specifically the channeled messages, it was more serious. It was more like, oh, you know, I need to figure out what's going on and I need to make sure I say, you know, helpful things. And I just had to think so much about what it is that I was saying. And not so much think actively, but just more so have it in and I guess a certain guideline of what it is that I was, you know, the goals of what I was using that video for. And basically, um, now, you know, doing the Yab session and things like this is specifically for me to not have to go through that. It's specifically for me to not have to, you know, present a certain way. This is just the unmasked version of myself. And, you know, I've been doing a lot of that lately. A lot of unmasking, a lot of like really discovering who I am, I guess, because honestly, that has died off. You know, I'm honestly like, in this moment, it's like such a severe case of needing to be still, needing to like literally sit my ass down and just be still and do nothing because I've been doing things this whole time. And it's like technically you could say even I'm doing something right now, but this is something that feeds me, that feeds into me because honestly, I don't really have friends like that where I talk to or who I talk to about these topics. So it's kind of just like whatever y'all hear is whatever y'all hear. Um but to say the least, you know, I'm going to give y'all some pointers too. You know, despite me going through all of this chaos that I'm not choosing not to go through anymore. This week has been a big, you know, learning lesson of stillness, of being able to sit with yourself literally, because I've been through and already endured and recently just got out of chaos when it comes to physical things in my life, you know, breaking down, falling apart, rearranging itself, rejection, redirection, you know, projection, all of the shins, okay? All of the shins. And honestly, like, this is nothing new when it comes to dealing with that part, but now the new part for me is being able to be okay with the fact that I have to sit with this flurry of thoughts and flurry of, you know, confusion and flurry of like just going back and forth up down everywhere when it comes to that because I literally I just never knew how to and never was taught that one, it was okay to sit down, to chill, to relax, to just actually take a breather and to take it all in. And also, I have a lot of things right now, like I'm not in a situation where I want to be, quite honestly. And it's like, as much as I want to tell y'all every single detail of what is going on right now, I just know that for me, that I'm just not going to do that until I'm able to in a safe manner. But for right now, I am going through a lot. You know, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of, you know, changes. There's, you know, confusion about my path, confusion of where I want to go. You know, I started feeling some sort of sense of like, I guess you could say losing your spark, but I don't really know if exactly it's losing my spark per se. I just feel like it's more so, you know, having dealt with everything that I just dealt with, including in something that I'm still grieving and processing through surrendering my cat. You know, I still miss her and think about her very often. She's doing great, by the way, at the shelter that I had put her at. So, that provided a little bit of relief for me that, I knew she was good, but for me to hear from the provider that she is good, put a lot of, quelled a lot of anxiety or, stress that I had about that. Like, oh, is she okay? Or, just feeling guilty about living my life and like, continuing to do certain things while like, I don't know if whether or not she's cool, but it's like, the whole point of me surrendering her and taking care of that was so that I could take care of myself. When I tell y'all, I had been, used to being a mother, a maternal figure without even wanting to be since I was a kid. Like, this is just something that I am literally unlearning. This is a part of the identity shifts, losing and shedding those old identities that I had clung onto so tightly for a long time. And now it's like living a life and an existence that doesn't surround that is not, constantly, going through those things. And it's like, obviously I don't look like what I've been through. And I feel like that's also part of the point. That ironically, I wouldn't have perceived myself to exactly be one to go through the things that I went through and still look the way that I do, and still be able to, come in front of a camera and put myself together, put this little scarf on. Honestly, my hair was looking a little crazy. I didn't want to scare y'all away too much. So I put this scarf on so that I could, at least sit down and get this taken care of. Um, because I honestly I enjoy these sessions. I haven't had a yap session in a very long time, and that is another thing. I wasn't allowing myself to have a yap session because I was so focused on wanting to, produce content that was more serious, that was more tailored to, showing all y'all what I could do, showing my craftsmanship. I just released my first solo film on YouTube and my Instagram, and that is something I'm extremely proud of. That's something that took a very long time. It took 2 months. It was a process that I started on like June 2nd, and it was a concept that I had thought about for a bit, a few months before that. And I was kind of just like, I got to continue to do that. Like, I just got to continue to push through to that. And that was one of the things that, like, I wasn't sure if exactly I would finish it or it would go to completion. And there was a lot of obstacles, delays, a lot of problems, a lot of things that just came in the way from me being able to successfully conclude that process. And confirmation, it didn't even come out, but confirmation burp, I guess. But quite literally, like, that process was not only just long, it was it was long, and I had thought a bunch. And y'all, if y'all saw, the BTS, I had described basically the process behind it, some feelings that I, went through behind it. And there was more details. There's some more like BTS videos that I had recorded that I really want to still upload. And, the BTS that I have is really more so me just, I wanted to keep like video diaries or video journals of me kind of explaining and expressing myself, because this process was so difficult that I had stopped and started many different times, because I was not only experiencing and going through life and dealing with a lot of things behind the scenes, but I was also still very devoted and still serious about my craft and what I want to do. And I say all that to say that I had been so focused on really producing things that, presented what I could do. And the whole focus of me having this Yaparoni sessions and things like that was for me to be able to talk to y'all authentically and openly without having to worry about, editing and worrying about other things, which y'all already know I don't really mess with editing for real, for real. I kind of just give y'all the video, how it looks, I might do little cuts here and there, but other than that, I kind of just give it to y'all raw. I give y'all a raw dogging style, because that's just really just who I am as a person. I don't cut and edit and fabricate myself in real life when I'm speaking to somebody, especially when I'm having these type of conversations. So I'm not going to do it for, especially something like this, or the things that, present my more professional side, or when it comes to things that are more serious and in terms of career wise, I guess, because honestly, when it comes to career, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore, honestly. I feel a lot of things. I feel a lot of things. Today I spent a lot of time being outside. I started developing a routine for myself that I'll be able to modify, but also be more repetitive with, because for me personally, I don't really like having routines that I have to do rigorously every morning, especially when it comes to waking up at a certain time, when it comes to having a workout regimen, when it comes to having to do certain things. So for me, what works best for me is kind of having a routine based around how I want to feel every morning. So I do things that are in accordance to the way that I want to feel. And right now, the most important things for me to feel is having that peace and is having that stillness and that calmness, because of the fact that my nervous system has been all over the place. In terms of regulating that, I've been focusing on making sure that that's good. Also making sure that I can actually have a clear and open mind, because in all of this, and in me wanting to, jump up and figure out where I'm going to go and try to grind and try to, stress to figure this out, especially when it comes to where I'm going next, because of the fact that this is temporary where I'm at. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I think that I was given this sacred pause as an opportunity, because God was telling me hey, you need to chill out. Bro, you need to chill out. You've been jumping up and going from thing to thing, and, being productive and making content, and, trying to put yourself out there, and just trying to help other people, trying to be understanding, doing this, doing that, doing it, whatever. And I think that, Source was seriously when it came to this, because when it came to this, where, the timing of everything worked perfectly the way that it absolutely needed to, because I know that I was guided to that environment for a certain reason, but I had realized that it was really only because I was supposed to go into that environment, shake shit up, and then leave. Literally, that's all I was there for. And then when I realized that, when that clicked in my head, I was kind of just are you joking me, bro? Are you joshing me? This is really my life. Because this is not the first time that this has happened. Where I had to go into an environment and I was simply only there for a temporary amount of time to shake things up, to literally open people's eyes to certain realities, to provide a new perspective, to become representation for what it means when you actually show up and you're there for yourself and you're actually, achieving your dreams or whatever it is. I just quite literally show up sometimes just to show people, uh, you know, a life that is different than the ones that they have been living. I show up as a lesson for other people, even though that situation was a lesson for me. And it was a lesson that I passed. I achieved and I passed it. It was something that it was hard for me to grasp my head around, because I was so stuck on wanting a certain version of my life, because that situation taught me things too. As much as I be a teacher for other people, people very much in situations and things like that are teachers for me as well. So that situation simply taught me a version of my life that I wish to achieve, and also it taught me a version of my life that I want to move into, or that I want to focus more on. And it was a life of stillness. It's a life of peace. It's a life of calmness. And God graciously, because God is always protecting me and I'm very, very highly protected. So I know that whatever happens, whenever people fuck with me, they are very sorry afterwards. And sometimes they don't always realize it when it first happens, but they will. They will. They will understand. And then it's like, it's funny sometimes because then they would either reach out, they would either tell me, or sometimes they just don't tell me at all. That happens a lot. More often than not, people just don't tell me about like how I influenced them or how I changed their lives, but I definitely did, especially if you hurt me, especially if you wronged me. It is going to hit you in the ass. It's going to bite you because of the fact that I am protected. And the things, like, when it came to that, it allowed me to be able to be blessed with this situation where all I'm worrying about right now is being fully in stillness, is fully disintegrating the survival mentality and the survival instincts, and the being in that survival mode so much so I'm able to focus on not having to move through that, not having to go through that right now. And it is very weird. It is weird because my body is obviously still integrating to the fact that this is where I'm at right now. And it's integrating with the fact that, like, with everything that has happened, I'm not, I'm not, I guess, deceased is the word to say. Like, I'm not. I'm alive and I'm okay. And that is something that I'm starting to build within myself, is trust and faith that I will always be okay no matter what happens in my life. And it's something that I'm starting to actually have more understanding of, and like actually seeing that it is true, which is, it's weird. I never thought that I would be able to experience that, where I would ever be able to like feel okay and not have to worry about, at least about certain things in this moment right now, because I can stress and I can worry and I can think about everything that is going to happen next week or whatever is going to happen next week, because I don't know. I absolutely have no idea. And when I say I don't know, I'm telling you, I do not know. The numbers in my bank account aren't clocking. They aren't making sense, because there's certain things that my soul wants to do, and it's just the numbers in there are just, they don't make sense, all right? And there's bills that gotta be paid, and I don't know I don't know how it's gonna happen. But the thing is that I'm literally given this opportunity right now for me to sit in this stillness, for me to be relaxed, to be in rest. Because if I truly want the life that I am trying to build for myself, I have to be able to be so confident, so trusting, and so okay in the rest right now. I have to be okay in the rest right now, because I cannot achieve the life that I want if I am still living the way that I am living, or I was living. I cannot live the way that I desire for my future, the things that I want to manifest, the people that I want around me, the career that I want, the house that I want, the location. All of those things, I simply cannot achieve it. It is not possible if I do not work so diligently on my self-esteem, on my self-love, on my self-identity, because that identity is gone. Whatever it is that I thought I knew about myself is not even no more. There's things that I want now that I wouldn't have wanted months ago. There's things that I want now that I was like, ew, that's freaking disgusting. Why would I want that? Or like, there's people that I like, when you think about who you imagine yourself marrying or who you imagine yourself being with long term, that version of a person or individual has changed for me because of the things that I've been through, and because of the fact that I'm shedding this old identity. New things are possible for me. New things are now a desire for me that I didn't have before. And it's just that itself is simply something that is just like, it's going to take time to process. It's going to take time to integrate. It's going to take time to actually be like, "Oh, I need to let myself flow into this." That's the only way it's going to happen. I need to let myself naturally flow into this next timeline of my life because, you know, especially before something big and grand happens, before there are big upgrades, God has a way of putting you in a sacred pause, you could say. And this is my sacred pause. Quite literally, I've been paused from doing a lot of different things in my life. And then I'm still trying to do stuff. Like, bro, when I tell you, it's been really difficult for me to just sit down and to relax and to just be in stillness and just be, let myself just be. And I also am like working very diligently, not working, I am spending time, in, intentional time with parenting myself, with being the mother and the father that I need right now, and doing that for myself in this moment. And that is also very important too, to allow myself to do that and to give myself the time and actually like let my adult self show up for my inner child, because a lot of the times I would be running away from myself. I would be running to do something, running to cope, running to, smoke, especially, running to, dive into my work, dive into my creativity, work on the next project, figure out what else to do, figure out how I'm going to make money, do this. And I think that the biggest mistake that I was doing with all of these actions and trying to move and trying to figure things out on my own was that I was making more mistakes and I was messing things up as much as I don't want to, or I didn't want to actually admit it back then. I was. And that is why that is why God is basically like, you need to sit down. You need to chill out. I literally put myself in timeout just now outside. Like, I sat in front of a tree for an hour and like I still couldn't even sit 100% still. But, like, I stretched. I did some car wheels. I was trying to climb on this tree. Like, I was just doing little silly funny things. Um and that's fine. That's still part of the stillness, cuz I just can't sit still. I'm not a neurotypical person. So I needed a little bit of stimulation, but I was still tending to myself, centering myself, taking care of myself, which I'm going to do more videos when it comes to the things that I have been working through myself, so that you guys know how to get through it yourself. But I got to get through it myself in order to tell y'all how to get through it, because I need to figure my own stuff out first right now. That is exactly what I'm doing. And I'm not going to tell y'all anything that I haven't practiced myself, because that is hypocrite. That's hypocrisy, okay? That is hypocrisy. And if I call myself a teacher, then I actually have to endure and, process and get through the things that I actually want to teach. Which, yeah, there's a lot of things that I want to do, y'all. There's a lot of things that I have planned. I have so many aspirations and so many dreams. And I know that that's something that I really find absolutely beautiful about myself, because I'm always wanting to just do things that are in alignment with my purpose, but I'm still figuring out exactly how to do that to the best of my ability, and do that to the best of my ability considering the fact that, like, I don't really have many resources right now. It's not like there's anyone that is offering me, oh yeah, here, I'm going to give you some money, or here, yeah, I'm going to give you this office, or yeah, here, I'm going to give you this team to help you work and build up the things that you want to build up. Like, that's not like a reality for me right now. So I'm like literally brainstorming how I can make these things happen. But I think that it's simply only meant to be a brainstorm. It's only meant to be a seed right now. I'm not meant to act or move on it yet. And I'm also not talking about it until any of it comes out or it actually is happening. So, again, y'all get to hear the little tidbits of my brain, because honestly, it's been a lot. It's been a lot. It's been overwhelming. I've been tired. I've been exhausted, and I've been needing to focus on my rest so much so right now. And I could really go on a ramble continuing on with like this, I don't know, I'm scared, blah, 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 like I'm anxious. But honestly, like, I'm not really though. I'm not really though, because there is such a confidence and a self assuredness and trust that I have somewhere deep down. This, everything that you see on the outside is, it could be a front. It could be you'd only see only a fraction of what it is that goes on inside of me or in my mind and things like that. But quite honestly, there's the version of myself, my inner child, that is kind of like screaming, and it's like, what, what's going on? What's going on? Oh my God, like, Mayday, Mayday. But it's really just because she's never learned how to sit down and just chill the fuck out. That was never a thing for me. I never was allowed to do that. So now that I'm doing that, it's kind of just like really weird. But then there's the other side of me that is like, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I know exactly where I'm going. I trust myself to succeed. I know that I'll figure it out somehow. I know that the numbers in my bank account do not define my worth. I know that the living situation that I am in does not define my worth. All right. I know that the things that I've been through, the trauma that I've endured, does not define who I am as a person. And in fact, it actually makes me so much stronger, so much more beautiful and braver and grander as a person. And that's another thing too, is that I have also been getting more comfortable with hyping myself up and uplifting myself, because a lot of people can say, there's a difference between being egotistical and there's a difference between being self-assured and just confident. And there's a balance that you have to have between the two. Ego basically means your identity or your inner child wounds or certain things like that. And well, the identity that people around you, your environments, your society, things like that kind of shape into who you've played a part as during your existence or time while you're here. And there has to be a balance between those things, because yes, I do believe that I am the shit. But also, I know that I am not higher or greater or grander than anyone else. I know that I've done a lot of work for myself in developing myself as a human being, as developing myself as someone who truly is not of this world. And I know that for a fact. And that is not egotistical. That is the truth. And a lot of people will say that too, that is the truth. And just because other people were saying certain things about me, or just even for yourself, that even if 1,001 people tell you something about yourself, doesn't mean that that's who you are either. But it just means that the way that I feel on the inside is starting to reflect the way that people view me on the outside. And that is when things come into harmony a lot better. When the way that you view yourself, your magnetism, your beauty, your confidence, your power, when that gets reflected onto the outside and people start perceiving or receiving you as that, that's when you know that things are starting to come into alignment and clicking, when it comes to your mind, body, and soul connection. And it takes a long time. It takes a lot. Those things used to reign something completely different, a few years ago, even a year ago. That wasn't even the case. That wasn't even true. I felt like an outcast. I felt like a nobody. I felt like a piece of poop, quite honestly. And that's not even the truth anymore. That's not even my reality, which is a lot. It's a lot to think about. I even wrote this story. I was, intending to write a poem, but sometimes when I write poems or when I'm just writing, it ends up turning into like 2-3 pages. So it did end up being 3 pages. And I would love to share that with y'all someday when I get around to it. Not right now, because I'm not supposed to be focusing on production and creativity and, being a machine right now. I'm supposed to just chill the fuck out. So whenever I get around to that, I want to share y'all that story because not only does it provide, I guess for me, a better way to describe who I am or the things that I've been through, or I guess my why, which not everybody should exactly know the reason behind your why or all of your whys, but I wanted to share one of my whys or something that helps to like kind of get y'all more acquainted with who I am, because something that is very important for me and something that is a part of me being here is sharing my testimony with y'all. And through these videos, through my creativity, through the things that I do, is part of sharing that testimony with y'all. And I would love to do that in due time. But right now, it's just been a lot of focusing, a lot of stillness, a lot of centering myself, because I wasn't really doing that before. I thought I was doing it before, but there's a difference between saying that you love yourself and then actually taking the action every single day to love yourself. Because I've also been reading All About Love by Bell Hooks, and it's crazy timing for me to be reading that right now, especially with like me, falling out with potential love interests and falling out with, with grieving people and pets. I mean, to me, my cat is a pet. I mean, my cat is a person. But it's like grieving people, grieving things that you loved, things that are no longer with you. And being so, like, healing those parts that you love so deeply about people, places, animals, whatever it is. And not necessarily having to remove the love that you had for that thing, but simply recentering where that love came from. That love that you had for that thing was really because of the fact that you yourself are so full of love, so full of beauty, and made that situation more enlightened, more light, more bright because of who you are. And that's why it felt so impactful to you, because you were just experiencing your energy reflected back to you. You're reflecting, you're experiencing that projection of your love. So sometimes grief can be confusing because we might think of it as like, oh, that person was so amazing, or that person loved me, or whatever it is. But in all actuality, when you really think back to how the situation played out and the things that ended up making that person is into a was, that reason or that description or whatever it is actually was something that didn't come from you. The reason as to why it ended wasn't because of you entirely. And that is something that I've had to also accept myself with. That, yes, it was, both situations, both people in the situations are responsible for each of their actions. But at the end of the day, my love is something that is so strong and so beautiful and is so powerful that it causes me to see experiences and situations differently at first until I am out of that situation, and then I'm able to kind of like see it differently, like, oh, I was seeing my own love, I was seeing my own effort, my own dedication and things like that, not the other way around. So although I still can have love for that person, the thing that I was loving and craving and yearning for was always in me. It was not ever outside of me, and it never left me either. And that the act of loving oneself is one that you have to consciously make, a choice that you have to consciously make on a daily basis. And another thing that I learned, that I also was like, oh, like that is something that is okay to feel and to actually think, is that loving yourself is difficult. It's not easy at all. That's why you see a lot of people don't love themselves, and they don't do it simply because it is difficult. It's not something that is easy to do. I don't think it's supposed to be either. Love is never something that is supposed to just be easy. Because if love was easy, it would take away the meaning, it would take away the power, it would take away the significance and the strength that that action has, because it is a verb. It is an act. It is a choice. It is you putting yourself into the position to have sacrifice, to have, compromise, to, you know, to do something that you're not exactly used to doing. So, right now, that is my biggest challenge. Right now, that is my biggest, mission, because I don't even want to phrase it as something that is difficult, because you shouldn't. It's not. It is just something, you have to reframe the way that you perceive when it comes to difficulty, when it comes to pain, and when it comes to struggles. And I even talked about this in the behind the scenes and my transparency short film, that you have to reframe the way that you view difficulty when it comes to actually benefiting and growing oneself and developing oneself and being so enamored and dedicated to oneself because you matter, or you deserve it, or you are worthy of it, because of the fact that no one else is going to give me the love that I crave until I give it to myself first, and then someone else, because of the fact that I mirrored that energy within myself that I already feel in the inside. Then I'll be able to have it reflected, or someone else will be gravitated towards me because of the fact that I'm loving myself the way that I deserve to, or that I wish to, or that I yearn for. And that I no longer need to yearn or to, desire something outside of me, so much so. And that's when, the universe is like, oh, okay, so we understand that you understand that that is important, or that is your truth, or that is how you, wish to live your life, is a life of love, because you loved yourself. We're going to give you this gift now because of those things, because of that dedication, because you chose to sit in stillness, because you didn't run away from yourself, because you chose to stay so adamant and so trusting and believing in your truth and in your path and in the things that you want. Because the life that I want, I have to be able to actively live it right now as if I already have it. That is how I get it. That's how I flow into it. It's not supposed to be something I just get because I'm not going to be able to handle it correctly. I'm not going to be able to handle it with love, care, and affection and dedication and commitment and things like that if I'm not actively practicing those things right now. So, as difficult as it is, I still got to do it. And I'm extremely proud of myself for continuing to show up for me every single day, because I have not given up, and I will not, and I refuse to. And I've been, making more time for that rather than doing this. Or, when it comes to YouTube, I actually haven't made a YouTube video in probably about 2 weeks or more. No, I feel like it's been 2 weeks. I'm honestly, when I tell y'all, I was like on this binge where I was creating all types of content. Like, I have content that is so backed up, like videos that I have videos that I still can upload on YouTube. And that's honestly all I've been doing. I've just been editing and uploading videos that I've had basically in my drafts, in my photo album, that I've just been sitting there waiting to be shown. So it's like, it's very it's been very helpful for me to kind of just focus on myself and not have to worry about not having content to upload, because of the fact that I have so much content to upload and so little energy and will to like actually edit and upload it. I'm doing it little by little, basically, is what's going on. So this is just like a little update and a little, I guess, me and you session, me and my phone, I guess. But like, it is really me and y'all. I don't feel like it's just my phone whenever I have these conversations. I genuinely feel like I'm talking to people that, resonate with me, or, can understand what it is that I am talking about, because it's something that we're all kind of collectively going through. This is specifically for my collective because of the things that are happening astrologically and things of that nature. um you know this is for y'all, and this is for y'all to just connect with me and kind of hear yourselves, because whatever I say, and if y'all truly like really appreciate and like the things that I say, that's just simply because it is things that are already existent within you guys, that I'm just mirroring, and I'm reflecting the things that I feel and that I experience within you guys, but I'm just a voice. I'm just saying it. But it's still all y'all. It's still all y'all. And yeah, I love you guys so much for all the support that I got on my short film. I reached 200 views on that, and that is the highest viewed video that I've had thus far, and that is absolutely wonderful, and I'm so happy about it. And yeah, I just think that that was really cool that I hit 200 views on that. And we are at 71 subscribers, y'all. We're very close to getting to 100. And it's like, again, if you know me, I don't really care too much about numbers. Like, I barely even tell y'all to subscribe and like and comment and all of that, because of the fact that, like, I just feel like if y'all want to, then you would do it. I'm not going to tell you to do it. You just do it if you want to. But I really wanted to create this channel so that I could create a community that simply and only encompasses those who truly not only watch the videos that I post, but also listen to the things that I have to say. The people that actually do want to be here, is the content that I make is for those people, for that collective. So having the people who have subscribed, I'm extremely grateful and appreciative for every single one of y'all, because whether or not you guys get to watch every one of my videos, I know that y'all got touched by at least something, even if it was a minute, just something in here. And that means to me that, like, not only am I fulfilling something that I truly desire and I wish to do in this world, and something that I wish to leave this earth with, but that you guys are able to have someone that can speak these things openly and fluently to hopefully help y'all understand, or be able to conceptualize, or at least have a space where you don't feel as alone, because these videos help me to feel not so alone, because I'm at least talking to somebody about it. And I truly believe that I am talking to somebody in this video. So, yeah. I'm going to stop it there, because I want to not overexert myself. I'm very happy that I was able to get this out. It helped me, and I hope that it helped y'all. And again, I love you guys, and I wish that you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, evening, or night, wherever it is, wherever you are. I am giving you hugs and kisses and so much love and support, because I know that this time right now is not easy. But trust and believe that if you resonated with anything, the same would be true for you that it is for me, that something good is going to come. Believe that you are worthy of a blessing. Believe that you're worthy of something actually good happening, even if it feels like it's all bad, even if it feels like it's all been downhill. That just means that the blessing is about to be so much greater and grander to make up for that. The scales have to balance some way, somehow, okay? I'm going to believe in it. If that's the last thing I do, I'm going to believe that these scales are going to balance themselves out. Alrighty, so yeah. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I love you, and prepare yourselves for this Lionsgate portal. Prepare yourselves. Do your beauty rituals. Make yourself feel real good for this full moon that we got going on. Oh my lord. Hecky no. But I'm gonna give myself some water. Have a beautiful time. I will see you guys in the next video. And whether or not you guys see this before or after the full moon, just know that it will be coming out in the right time. Whenever is the right time for me. Cause again, we got some backups. We got some backed up videos going on. But yeah. Alrighty. Bye y'all. I'll see y'all in the next session.